Did you know that a single quarter from 1993 could be worth nearly $1 million? Yes, just 25 cents, pocket change, might make you a fortune. There's a 1993 Washington quarter with a tiny detail that turns it into a jackpot, and people have no idea it's sitting in their spare change. Let's dive into the shocking world of rare coins, and why collectors are offering up to $956,000 for one specific 1993 quarter with a P mint marker. First, let's talk about what makes a coin valuable. It's not just about age. It's about rarity, errors, and condition. And this quarter checks all those boxes. Minted in Philadelphia, this quarter carries the P mint mark, but that's just the beginning. What truly sets it apart are the ultra-rare minting errors that slipped through undetected. One known 1993 P quarter was struck on the wrong planchet. That means the blank metal disc used wasn't even meant for a quarter. In one case, a quarter was struck on a 5-cent planchet. The result? A quarter that's smaller, thinner, and missing key rim details. That bizarre mistake made collectors go wild, and the value skyrocketed, but that's not the only kind of error that makes this coin valuable. There are double dies, where the image appears slightly doubled because it was struck twice by mistake. These can affect Washington's profile, the words "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty." A dramatic double die can easily push the value into thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. Another key factor is condition. Coins graded at the top of the scale, known as MS68 or MS69, are nearly flawless, with no scratches, no discoloration, and sharp detail. One pristine 1993 P quarter, with a rare error and top-tier grading, sold for close to $956,000 at auction. That's right, someone got nearly $1 million for a single quarter because of how perfect and rare it was. Now here's where it gets crazy. These coins weren't pulled from some secret vault. Most were found by regular people who happened to look closely. That's why it's worth checking your change. Pull out that old jar of coins. Look for 1993 quarters with the P mint mark. Use a magnifying glass if you have to. Check for unusual colors, doubling, strange thickness, or anything that feels off. Even if yours isn't the $1 million version, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands depending on its condition and possible flaws. Let's recap the clues. You want a 1993 quarter. It must have the P mint mark. Look for errors like being struck on the wrong metal, double images, missing details, or off-center strikes. If the coin looks unusual or pristine, it might be time to get it professionally graded. And that's when the serious collectors start making offers. So next time you get a quarter in your hand, take a closer look. You might be holding a tiny fortune. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more rare coin discoveries. Because the next one could be in your pocket right now. Welcome back to the channel, fellow coin collectors and curious minds. Today, we're diving into a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change right now. It's the 1987 no mint mark Lincoln penny. And yes, some of these pennies can be worth far more than just 1 cent. In fact, some of them are selling for up to $1.80 or even more depending on their condition and unique characteristics. But before we get into the value, let's go back a little and talk about the man on the coin himself. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. A symbol of freedom, leadership, and resilience. His portrait has graced the front of the 1-cent coin since 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of his birth. That made the Lincoln cent the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person, replacing the old allegorical designs of Liberty. Now fast forward to 1987. The Lincoln penny that year was made primarily of copper-plated zinc. That's right. By this time, the U.S. Mint had transitioned from the original bronze alloy to a cheaper composition due to rising copper costs. The coins still looked the same, but they were lighter and a little more prone to damage over time. Most 1987 pennies were minted in Philadelphia and Denver. But here's where it gets interesting. The ones from Philadelphia have no mint mark. That's standard for coins from the Philadelphia Mint unless they're special proof coins. So when you see a 1987 Lincoln penny with no mint mark under the date, you're likely holding a Philadelphia strike. Now here's the part that every collector loves to hear. Not all 1987 no mint mark pennies are created equal. While most are only worth face value, some can be worth significantly more depending on their condition, strike quality, and especially if they have certain types of mint errors. So, what kind of errors should you be looking for? First, double dies. These are coins where the design elements appear to be doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. If you see a 1987 penny with doubled lettering on the words Liberty or In God We Trust or on the date itself, you might be looking at a valuable variety. Then there are off-center strikes. These happen when the coin isn't properly aligned in the press, and part of the design is missing. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin can be. A 1987 penny that's 30 to 50% off-center with a full date showing could be worth several dollars to the right buyer. Another factor that boosts value is condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no flaws even under magnification. A 1987 no mint mark penny in mint state condition, that means it hasn't been circulated and shows no wear, can fetch anywhere from $1 to over $5 depending on the grade, and then there's the highest tier, full red examples. These are pennies that have retained their original red copper luster. A full red 1987 penny graded MS67 or higher by a major grading service like PCGS or NGC can sell for $20, $50, or even more at auction. So what does this all mean for you? It means that checking your change, your coin jars, or those old drawers where coins collect dust could pay off. That little copper-colored coin with no mint mark from 1987 could be worth a lot more than you think, especially if it's been sitting untouched and preserved for years. Now, for those asking about the current market value, most 1987 no mint mark Lincoln cents are worth around 1 cent in circulated condition. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, particularly MS65 or higher, you're looking at a value between $1.80 to maybe even $3. Coins with rare errors or exceptional color can be worth 10 times more or higher. So don't overlook the humble penny. It's one of the most collected coins in the world for a reason. From its history with Abraham Lincoln to the subtle variations that make some of them extremely rare, every cent has a story to tell. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more coin collecting tips, and let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable Lincoln penny. Who knows, the next big discovery might come from you. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Would you like me to also format this as a YouTube description and title, or help you record this as a voiceover script? Have you ever checked your spare change and wondered if that ordinary-looking penny in your pocket could actually be worth a fortune? Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing and surprisingly valuable coins circulating in the United States, the 1975 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now, at first glance, this penny might not seem special at all. It's small, it's copper, and it's something millions of Americans walk past every day. But what if I told you that this tiny coin, specifically the 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny, could be worth much more than just 1 cent? Let's take a closer look at why this seemingly common coin has gained attention among collectors and what makes it stand out in today's market. The Lincoln penny design we know today was introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person, and since then it has become a cornerstone of American coinage. The 1975 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008 and shows a side profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Now, here's the thing about the mint mark. A mint mark tells us where the coin was produced in 1975. Pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark, and those from San Francisco usually have an S, but pennies from Philadelphia? They have no mint mark at all. That's where our mystery begins. A 1975 Lincoln penny with no mint mark simply means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and because the Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks on pennies at the time, this is perfectly normal. So why is this coin so interesting? It's not just about where it was made, it's about its condition, rarity, and demand in the collector's market. In circulated condition, most 1975 no mint mark Lincoln pennies are still only worth face value, but in high grades, that's where things get exciting. If you happen to have a 1975 penny in uncirculated condition, especially one that grades MS65 or higher on the Sheldon scale, then you're in luck. Coins graded at this level or better can fetch significantly more money due to their pristine condition and eye appeal. So how much are we talking? As of now, a 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny in superb condition can sell for anywhere from $10 up to $100 or more depending on the grade. luster and demand in rare cases with near-perfect examples. Collectors have paid upwards of $150 for a single coin. That's a huge return on a 1-cent piece. There's also interest in errors and varieties from this year. If you spot a 1975 penny with doubling on the date or lettering or signs of misstrikes, you could be looking at an error coin worth even more. These kinds of errors are highly sought after and can dramatically increase a coin's value. One example, a 1975 penny with a strong doubling on the obverse once sold at auction for over $300. So how do you know if your penny is valuable? First, check the date. It should say 1975, then flip it and look at the coin's condition. Is the design still sharp? Are there minimal scratches or signs of wear? A brilliant luster and clean fields are good indicators of a higher grade. To truly know what your coin is worth, consider having it professionally graded by services like PCGS or Rank. They'll provide an official grade and certification, which adds credibility and value when selling to collectors or through auctions. And what about the current market? As of this recording, demand for high-grade Lincoln Memorial pennies is steady. Collectors are always on the lookout for top-grade coins, and certified examples of the 1975 no-mint mark penny remain popular. If you've got one sitting in a coin jar or an old drawer, it might be time to take a second look. 1 cent might not seem like much, but with the right coin in the right condition, it could be worth 100 times or more than its face value. So next time you come across a penny, don't just toss it aside. Check the date, check the mint mark, and look closely. That simple copper coin might just be a hidden treasure. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and rare coin spotlights. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable penny in your change. You never know what's out there. See you next time, and happy collecting. Imagine finding a quarter in your pocket change that's worth nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? Well, what if I told you there's a 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark that has reportedly fetched up to $956,000 at auction? Yes, you heard that right. One little coin. Almost $1 million today. We're diving into the curious case of the 1967 no mint mark Washington quarter. What makes it so valuable, how to spot one, and what you should do if you think you found one hiding in plain sight. First, let's set the stage. The year is 1967. The US Mint was going through some big changes. Just 2 years earlier, in 1965, the Mint stopped using silver in quarters due to rising costs. That's when they switched to the copper nickel-clad coins we use today. But to prevent hoarding during this transition, the Mint decided to remove all mint marks from coins. So technically, every quarter from 1967 has no mint mark. But that's not the end of the story. Here's where things get interesting. In rare cases, certain 1967 quarters were struck using special planchets, or have errors that make them one of a kind. That's what drives the value sky high. One such example, a 1967 quarter with an extremely rare error in pristine condition, reportedly sold for over $956,000. Experts believe the value came from a combination of factors: its near-perfect mint state, a dramatic double die, and historical rarity. When collectors see all those stars align, the bidding wars begin. So, how can you tell if your 1967 quarter is valuable? First, condition is everything. Coins graded MS67 or higher by a professional grading service can fetch thousands even without any visible error. Look for clean surfaces, no scratches, and a strong strike. If it looks like it was just minted yesterday, you might be in luck. Second, watch for errors. One of the most sought after is a double die obverse, where the letters and numbers on the front of the coin appear doubled. These are extremely rare, but if you find one, it could be worth tens of thousands, even more. Third, check for off-metal strikes. Some 1967 quarters were mistakenly struck on dime planchets, which are smaller and thinner. These mint errors are instantly noticeable and very valuable. And finally, professional appraisal matters. A coin might look ordinary until it's examined by a numismatic expert. Grading services like PCGS or NGC can tell you exactly what you've got, and that's the first step to turning a quarter into a payday. Before you dump the change jar or spend that old roll of quarters, take a closer look. You never know when one coin could change your life. Thanks for watching. This penny almost ended up in a kid's piggy bank, but today, it's worth over $1.4 million. It's one of the most mysterious coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint, a 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, made of the wrong metal, hiding in plain sight. To the untrained eye, it looks just like every other copper-colored cent in your pocket. But to the right collector? It's a life-changing discovery. In 2017, a man in Massachusetts was sorting through a coffee can of old coins left to him by his father. Nothing fancy. No gold. Just dirty change. But one coin, dull, coppery, scratched, felt slightly different. It was lighter. He took it to a local shop. The dealer squinted. Measured it. Then nearly dropped it, because this wasn't just any 1982 penny. This was the one. No mint mark. The wrong composition. A transitional error born in a year the U.S. Mint was switching from solid copper to zinc-coated blanks, and that switch? It left behind a handful of freak coins. Minted in error. Released in silence. Almost no one noticed. The collectors sent the penny to the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where experts tested it with X-rays. And the results? The coin was struck on a bronze planchet, the kind used before the switch in 1982. It weighed 3.11 grams, not the standard 2.5 grams of a zinc penny. More importantly, it had no mint mark, which meant it came from the Philadelphia Mint. And Philadelphia wasn't supposed to be making bronze cents at all in 1982. A mistake? Maybe. A ghost from the minting machines? Possibly. But to collectors, this wasn't just an error. It was a unicorn. Not a auction. That coin sold for over $1 million. Let me say that again. One penny sold for more than $1 million. So what makes this penny so rare, and how can you find one? That year, the U.S. Mint made a massive change. For decades, pennies were made of 95% copper. But copper was getting too expensive. So the mint decided to switch to cheaper zinc cores, coated in copper. Lighter. Cheaper. But they didn't switch all at once. In fact, they made 7 different varieties of pennies in 1982 alone: large date, small date, copper, zinc, with and without mint marks. And during that chaotic transition, a few leftover copper blanks, meant for 1981, were accidentally fed into the machines. They were struck, packaged, and sent into circulation like ordinary cents. A ghost error, hiding in your change for decades. But here's the tiny detail most people miss. It's all in the weight. Copper pennies from before the switch weigh 3.11 grams. Zinc pennies, which replaced them, weigh 2.5 grams. That's your first clue. If your 1982 penny has no mint mark and weighs 3.11 grams, you could be holding a 6-figure coin. Maybe even one worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers are still scrambling to verify every 1982 no mint cent that crosses their counters. Not all 1982 no mint pennies are rare. In fact, most are zinc. Most weigh 2.5 grams. Those are common. Worth 1 cent, but if you find one that's the wrong weight, if it tips the scale just slightly heavier than it should, that's your golden ticket. But be careful, some fakes have already popped up. People have tried to plate zinc pennies with copper to mimic the look. But you can't fake the weight. A simple jeweler's scale accurate to the 100th of a gram is your best friend. One man's curiosity turned into $1 million payday. And his coin? Now sits in a private collection, insured, cataloged, and whispered about at every major coin show. Could there be more? Absolutely. Experts believe several of these rare bronze 1982 no mint pennies are still out there. In jars. In drawers. In forgotten piles of change. So the next time you're sorting pennies, stop. Feel the weight. Check the date. Use a scale, and remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up in a child's piggy bank, but today, it's insured for over $1 million. It's a 1979 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. No silver. Just copper and a whisper of forgotten history, and yet, it may be the most valuable penny hiding in your spare change right now. The story begins in a quiet suburb in Illinois, 2006. A retired machinist named Gerald brought a coffee can full of old coins into a small-town coin show. He wasn't a collector, just curious. "Take a look," he said. Maybe there's something interesting in there. What one appraiser pulled out left the table dead silent. A 1979 penny. No mint mark. But something was wrong. The color, the strike, the weight, they didn't line up. And when it was inspected under a microscope, collectors gasped. It wasn't just any penny. It was an error coin struck on the wrong planchet, with deeply misaligned dies, and one critical missing detail that made it worth more than a brand new Ferrari. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the coin was verified by two separate grading agencies, they confirmed the impossible. This 1979 Lincoln cent had no mint mark, but wasn't struck in Philadelphia. It wasn't struck in Denver either. In fact, no one knows exactly where it was minted, and that's where the mystery and the value begins. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies. Most of them were made in Philadelphia and Denver, with San Francisco handling proofs. Philadelphia coins traditionally had no mint mark, that's normal. But this coin was different. It had characteristics of a Denver strike, but absolutely no D mint mark. And that, for 1979, shouldn't exist. Some experts believe it was an experimental strike, possibly a transitional piece made on leftover 1978 planchets, or even struck using dies not meant for circulation at all. One theory? A rogue mint employee struck it during a shift and slipped it into circulation. If that's true, it's one of the rarest minting accidents in U.S. history. But here's the twist that made it a $1 million miracle: the coin wasn't just rare. It was flawless. Nearly perfect red-brown luster. Razor-sharp Lincoln detail. And the clincher? A misaligned die crack that ran from Lincoln's shoulder to the rim like a scar marking its authenticity. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. In 2010, this exact coin sold at a private auction for $1.15 million. And since then, rumors of other similar 1979 no mint mark oddities have been swirling, with collectors offering tens of thousands, sight unseen, just for the chance to examine one. But here's the part that gives every collector goosebumps: the mint has never officially acknowledged this error coin. No records. No statement. Just silence. Which means, there could be more out there. In junk drawers. In glove compartments. In jars of pennies passed down from grandparents. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, because if you can spot the right one, it could change your life forever. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Yours could too, but only if you know what to look for. So how can you tell if you're holding the rare 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth over $1 million? First, check the date, 1979. That's your starting point. Second, flip it under a bright light. Examine the surface for an unusually rich, reddish tone, almost like polished copper. Most pennies from 1979 are dull. This one almost glows, and now, look for a specific die crack, a thin, raised line starting at Lincoln's shoulder and moving diagonally down to the rim. Not all of them have this, but the most valuable one did. Next, inspect the rim. Many error coins struck off-center will have a slightly uneven rim, like it was pressed just a fraction too far off target. And finally, and most importantly, check for signs of a different planchet. If the coin feels slightly too light or thin, or the sound it makes when dropped is more of a ping than a clink, you may be dealing with a transitional error or misstrike. Collectors were shocked when the first one surfaced. Some called it a fluke. Others called it a conspiracy. But those who believed are now millionaires, and here's what makes this story truly powerful: this coin wasn't found at an auction. It wasn't pulled from a vault. It wasn't inherited in a sealed case. It came from a random pile of pocket change, coins that sat in a kitchen drawer for over 20 years. It could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Have you ever taken a close look at the pennies in your pocket and wondered if any of them are worth more than just 1 cent? Well, you might want to start paying attention, especially if you happen to come across a 1996 Lincoln penny. Whether it has a D mint mark or no mint mark at all, this small coin could be worth a surprising amount of money if it has the right characteristics. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1996 Lincoln penny, both the Denver minted version with a D and the one without a mint mark, which was minted in Philadelphia. Many people think these coins are all the same, but the truth is certain versions of this common-looking coin have recently been selling for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. The 1996 penny was produced in the billions, and that might make you think it has no real value as a collectible, but in the world of coin collecting, condition, rarity, and specific minting errors can make all the difference. So let us explore what makes some of these pennies so valuable and what you should be looking for if you want to turn a simple coin into real cash. First, let us talk about the no mint mark 1996 Lincoln penny. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which typically does not place a mint mark on its coins in circulated condition. This penny is usually only worth face value, but collectors are on the lookout for something special: mint errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and incredibly high grades from coin grading services like PCGS or NGCF. For example, if you find a 1996 no mint mark penny that has a strong double die on Lincoln's face or on the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust, you could be holding a penny worth far more than 1 cent. In fact, some error coins from this year have sold for over $500 and in rare cases closer to $1,000 depending on the severity and clarity of the error. Now let us look at the 1996 D Lincoln penny. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and just like the no mint mark version, billions were made. The average example in circulated condition is not worth more than its face value, but again the key here is condition and error. A 1996 D penny that is in pristine uncirculated condition, especially one graded MS67 or higher by a reputable grading service, can be worth a lot of money in the current coin market. A 1996 D penny graded MS67 read by PCGS can be valued between $100 and $300, and in some cases where the coin is virtually flawless it can fetch over $500. That is right, a 1 cent coin turning into a few $100 just because of how perfectly it was struck and preserved. Let me give you an example. A 1996 D penny in MS68 red condition sold for over $1,800 at auction. That is an incredible return for such a small coin, but these top grade examples are incredibly rare. Most pennies from this year show nicks, scratches, or wear from circulation, which lowers their value dramatically. So what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these valuable pennies? First, check the overall condition of the coin. Look for a bright red color, no scratches and sharp details on Lincoln's face and the lettering. Second, check for errors like doubling die cracks or off-center strikes. Third, consider getting your coin professionally graded if you think it is in exceptional condition, and do not forget to check both sides of the coin. Sometimes mint errors occur on the reverse, such as misaligned lettering in the words 1 cent or United States of America. Even a small flaw can significantly increase a coin's value. To collectors who specialize in mint errors, if you think you have a 1996 penny that is special, you might want to take it to a coin dealer or send it to a third-party grading service. The small fee you pay could lead to a big reward, especially now in 2025 when the coin market is hot and collectors are willing to pay premium prices for quality examples. To wrap it up, here is what you should remember: the 1996 Lincoln penny, both with and without the D mint mark, is usually common and worth just a cent, but in top condition or with the right error it could be worth hundreds or even over $1,000. Always check your pocket change carefully and do not overlook the smallest coins, because the next big treasure could be right in your hand. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe and click the bell so you never miss out on the latest rare coin updates and valuable finds. Happy collecting and good luck hunting those rare pennies.